Hi, I'm Molly George. Welcome to Along for the Ride, where the road is winding. Our windows are down and our souls are wide open. Where we don't have it all figured out, but we sure are going to have fun on the ride.
That's right.
Today, we are so lucky and blessed to have Reverend Sheila Tillich with us today. Sheila is, I know, Sheila is amazing. She has been by far one of my most influential mentors in my spiritual and personal evolution journey. And I am so deeply grateful for her. Thank you for being with us, Sheila.
Thank you.
And I would also like to add that she is an ordained metaphysical reverend, a galactic grandmother, and an international master energy consciousness healer. That's
Absolutely.
a lot. It's a lot. And a lot of magnificence, I might add.
Thank you. I'm so honored and happy to be here with you today, Molly. You're such a special, special light in today's world. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So Sheila, I was thinking about my audience. So the metrics haven't quite come back yet, but I am really sure that we have a large number of people who are kind of new to this energy work idea. Like a lot of people have an idea that there's more out there than we have probably been raised to learn about, and have some inner feelings of there's something more, and not really able to put their finger on it. And, you know, you and I have gone through all of our experiences to understand a different level of existence, actually.
Exactly.
And, yeah, and I'm wondering what would be a great message for someone who's just kind of starting to take it all in?
Well, everything is changing. The world is changing, and so are you. And you're actually waking up. You're waking up to who you really are as a divine being. So it's all about change and moving forward and having joy and hope in your life. That's what it's about. It's about living your life to the best that you can, having joy and happiness. Compassion is one of the most important things, is that's what you can have to do. And also living in positive energy. So what does that mean? Yeah. So what you think is what you're going to project out, and it's going to be what you receive back. So being positive and thinking positively and staying out of the bad neighborhood of negative influences or old programming, as we say, old programming and beliefs and the way you always did it, and start to say, I'm going to start to go inside and find out who I am. And a lot of people don't even know how to do that. Correct?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it sounds like, yeah, great idea. Be positive, say affirmations. And I think there's so many more people that want that. I think so many of us crave and are like, yeah, I want joy and happiness. And I think we can so quickly get pulled into our routines and our running and the hecticness of life that we forget we are actually entitled, just because we're born, to be happy and feel joy. And then discovering what might be keeping us from that is another step.
Exactly. And it's all about our evolution, meaning as we grow in this human life, we learn things. It's the big schoolroom of Earth, experiencing things that we like, things that we don't like, but also all the obstacles and the challenges that we have, right? And that we can get past them. And they're lessons that we can use if we choose. And that's where the awakening part is. That's living in a higher thought process. And when you think of thought process, think of what you're thinking. What is your mind saying to you? What are you projecting out there? And a lot of times, we were programmed to believe a certain thing. And then all of a sudden we start to get wisdom through all those lessons. And we say, yeah, that doesn't apply to me anymore. I'm not comfortable with that. And so that's where you start to stand in your own divineness, finding out who you are. A lot of people don't know how to do that. So that's where we come in, right? That's where we come in.
We are the way showers. Right. Yeah.
That's
So can
right.
you give me an example of something like an old thought pattern that someone might have, maybe a common one that person might carry and not really recognize it until someone brings it to their attention?
Yeah, a lot of times it's actually tradition, what you were brought up with, and what you learned in your early childhood. So, as a metaphysician, I deal with more of the early childhood energy psychology, meaning what did you learn? What was programmed into you as a child? And a lot of us, we lived in environments of survival, and we went along with what everybody told us. We didn't make our choices, but we were living in the fear of
Mm,
doing different. That's a programming, wouldn't you think?
yeah.
So programming is not doing different than what we were taught to do.
Exactly. And our subconscious learns that very quickly as survival. So even as an adult, when we can look back and say, that didn't make sense, or why didn't I do that? Or why did I do this? It's very difficult because your subconscious is actually running the show until you kind of train it not to. And yeah, I love that. And I think that's just so
When we think
it's
about their
pretty popular.
evolution, you know,
That's okay. It'll work.
well, today is the fall equinox. I
So
know.
exciting. What does that mean for what does that mean? I mean, I understand like science, like the days and everything for the equinox. What does that mean energetically for humans, for the human race?
Well, it means we're going into a new cycle, all right? So seasons of the earth. And now we're kind of hunkering down for the winter process, but we're still not in there yet. We're kind of slowing down from the summertime fun and now getting serious again of part of the hibernation that 2 or 3 months we will be in. But also it is about our evolution. What do we want to do in the next 3 or 4 months? What do we want to do in the next year? So this year has gone by so quickly, and we are evolving into a different frequency. And that's where everybody's feeling this. They either live in fear or they live in love, meaning they live in fear of, oh my God, what's going to happen? Or I am so excited. I'm full of hope and I see things changing and I'm feeling good about it. All right. And so the equinoxes has a lot to do with it, the way that the sun is coming down into the planet and the way it's lined up, and the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere and the things that we go through in each of those hemispheres. But it's also everything is changing energetically, which you and I as energy healers have seen the change. Oh my goodness. And seeing where 10 years ago, we weren't who we are now. And what happened? What happened to us? We started to waken up, right? We started to say, okay, where's life? What's my purpose? Where am I going? And a lot of times we live in the traditions, the professions that we picked, and they always say, get ready for retirement. A lot of people say, oh, I can't wait to retire. And when they retire, then they die, you know. That's something that
Not me.
happens too. But no, it's just another phase. It's another phase. It's another phase
Yeah.
in your life. It's a new opportunity. So look at the possibilities with the opportunities. You can do something different. And it's all part of your evolution, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm really
For
embracing that. Oh, go
for
ahead.
you as a teacher, you were a teacher, and it was very, very important, and you did a great job. And there's so much more than just you teaching. You have an identity as Molly, and you have feelings, and you have love, and you express yourself in unique ways. And now it's a new opportunity to go farther. You have new opportunities, something different. And it's like, yeah, I like this. I like this. And as healers, we can look back at all the things that we've gone through and help those that are just starting out. They're just feeling this this difference of humanity, because it's changing big time. And you can look at it as glass half full or the glass half empty, or positively or negatively.
Yeah.
So it's about hope and joy and not pain and suffering, right?
Exactly.
So it's all about choices.
That's exactly what was this one was in my head. Mind reader. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have so much power.
Choices.
Choices, and we hand it over so quickly. I was just thinking about this the other day, that we hand over our power of choice, not just to like our circumstances, like if it starts raining or if someone says something that we don't like, but we often give it up to our own internal limitations, and program.
Exactly.
Like you said, with my retirement, like I went to the 30 years because that's what I was supposed to do, and it was, I don't regret the choice. I'm grateful for all the reasons I did it. And if I had chosen to not, something else would have evolved differently. And it just like recognizing that, it's like, okay, so it just brings my attention to where those programs are and what do I want to choose. And I know once you make a choice that's a little outside of the box and everything turns out okay, it's like, hey, that's fun.
And it kind of builds your self-esteem, and it builds your self-esteem, and it builds your excitement. And then you start saying, hey, I can do this. And a lot of those old programmings kept you in the fear of thinking outside the box. There's the ramifications, So those are the programmings that we all have. And it's like, it's wonderful to be able to be alive at this time of humanity. And, I'm not a young chicken, and I've seen a lot, and I've experienced a lot, and I'm very grateful. And I hope to be here for another 30, 40 years. They say another 30. I say at least another 30, and I'll be 100 then. So I'm up there. And it's always, it's not about a number. It's about what you do with your life and how you live your life. And if you think that you can't do something, then you can't do something. But if you say, I'm going to give it my best shot, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to be happy doing what I like to do. And that's where you start to stand in your power. So we're talking about power, and we're talking about the new changes that we can all do, and the hope that's out there. The hope.
Yeah. And with so many crazy headlines, it can very quickly feel like it's not hopeful. And I think that's where it's more important and most important that we remember we are not a headline, usually.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also about the duality that's out there. Okay. Again, the fear and the love.
Mm-hmm.
The fear and the love. And, or they always say you're going to choose your battles. But choosing your battles, why do you have to battle? Why can't you just accept something? It's like, I just don't do it that way anymore. And I'm okay with that. I don't beat myself up because I can't. And that's the difference, is when you start to say, I have those choices. And I don't choose to do that today. And isn't it great that we are all individuals, that we can make different choices? Because if we were the same, we would be so boring, wouldn't it? Boring. But it's about compromising and respect. Having integrity is like, I'm going to respect you just like I want to be respected. But also it's like, just because you think differently than me doesn't mean you're a bad person or I'm a bad person. It just means, okay, great. I'll take some and I'll leave the rest. Some of the stuff you have, I like, and I'm going to take it. And that's called wisdom, whether it's going to apply for you. Just like, I can't go be a high jumper. I'm not flexible like that. I'm not tall like that. And I don't, beat myself up because I'm not real tall or flexible to do that. However, right. I can do other things. I can do a lot of other things, and that I couldn't do 10 years ago. Uh-huh. And then, of course, there's some things I can't 40, 50 years ago, but that's okay. I don't put that expectation on myself and I don't feel bad about it. And I do what I can, just like when I hear something, or I try to compare myself with somebody, that's going down the rabbit hole. I don't need to compare myself. I'm unique, and I know my limitations, just like what we talked about, limitations. And limitations can be both ways. You can limit yourself from not doing different because you're still stuck, or you stay stuck in those limitations and then you don't ever change. And think about that. They always say, I wish I would have done that. And if you don't change or do different, you'll never know. You'll say this, you'll be at the same place that you were before. So life is good. Life is good. It's how you look at it. Choices. Half full, half empty. Yeah.
Exactly. And I love that about like having the wisdom to choose not to battle instead of choosing your battle and choose not to battle. That's, I think, a very empowering concept that a lot of us could practice.
You know what I learned a long time ago? I've been in recovery work for myself on my own issues in my tissues and things that I wasn't happy about. And I realized that I don't have to always agree with everybody or think the same way of other people. And when somebody's telling me something that they're saying and they really want to control me, or get me to agree with what they're saying, I could just say, you may be right, because you don't need to, tell them they're wrong. It's about being kind. And also, okay, I hear you. I'm going to listen to you. And it's the same way with sometimes when you have to move forward from different people, places, and things in your life. You do it with compassion and you do it with love. All right. So you actually detach with love. All right. And it doesn't mean that I'm any better than you or you're any less than me. And that's where we start to see our individuality. And then it also shows the stuff that maybe we might want to live like that person. I really resonate with that person, And where the wisdom comes in is that I see that falling behind you. Yeah, where the wisdom comes through is that, 20, 30 years ago, we wouldn't be talking about this higher consciousness thinking. What are you talking about, higher consciousness? To go inside and live a more divine life, and we have grown into that. That's where the wisdom, all those experiences come from. Is now we can make differences if we choose. And that's the change that we're seeing. Don't you agree? All the changes that we're seeing?
I do agree. And sometimes I wonder, is it because this is the work we're in, so we see it more? But I really noticed it even in younger people. Before I retired, I noticed in my students. And each year we'd have a few more conversations with a few more kids than the year before about this kind of stuff. And, the young people want it. They want to be awake. They want to understand more than what's presented to them, perhaps. And I think that's awesome. That's very encouraging. I tried to encourage that.
And they're such divine. Yeah, they're just divine souls because they just came in, and we had to take on a lot of the stuff that was already here. And now, as energy healers, and we understand about energy, we can see the difference in the actual generations from how it was when we were kids and how it is now, especially with our own kids, when we had our own kids, and how it is now. The children are so much wiser. They're knowing. They know. And that's the awakening that you're talking about, and that's good. And that kind of shows how we are changing And it's okay, no matter how old you are, to change if you choose. Some people don't want to, and that's okay too. But there's some of us
Yeah.
that want to live and change and experience and do new things, right?
So I love that you said that about the kids, because I have to share this. But my dear father, who will be 90 on Wednesday, and we had a big family gathering over the weekend to celebrate. And he said to my sister, looking at like my grandchildren and my niece, who are all close in age, running around plays, like those kids all came in knowing who they are. It's like they were all born knowing who they are. Some people might call them all strong-willed children, but that's
Exactly.
why just
Exactly.
really, and they're at least, thankfully, they're born into a time where it's a little more, it's getting to be more commonplace to kind of honor that instead of just trying to squelch it like might have been done in the past. Oh, awesome. This is so great. Okay. I was wondering, we talked about a lot of different things and about being more conscious, and some programs that people might, be kind of stuck in. You talked about, oh yeah, how our limitations can keep us stuck. And you and I both do energy healing. Could you talk a little bit about how using energy healing or energy work can help a person become unstuck or recognize something or take steps toward releasing those limitations?
Exactly. I also am a heart math coach, and that heart math deals with stress and trauma. And heart math is scientifically based, and it's about building resilience against stress. And how do you do that? And it's also all about energy work. It is about the energy by going within inside and actually changing the chemistry of your own body without any drugs, by just your breath work, and by actually retraining your whole body to respond differently. So it's called heart variability rate. So when you think of us as electromagnetic beings, it's all about our electrical field of how our heart beats and how our body responds to all. So that's the energy that's here. And as energy healers, I mean, we have a lot of tools in our basket to help people. And the energy that's here now too is so unbalanced. It goes up and down, where one day we feel great and another day we're down in the dumps. And so we don't know how to deal with it. So as energy healers, one of the things that I do is help people slow down, go within, and just relax and start listening to the wisdom within, who you really are. So we're all divine beings, and we have the wisdom to start healing ourselves. So energy healing and us as teachers of this is about how, for me, as an educator, is to help people get unstuck from anything and everything that is going on in their lives. And most of the time it's stress. It's stress, and how not knowing how to deal with situations that come up, relationships, professional stuff. And it all begins with you. First, you have to begin with you to change the way that you think, the way that you respond. And heart math is an actual technique that where you center in your heart things that you love, things that you bring you joy in your brain. And you just slow down your breathing a little bit, and you do it for at least 5 minutes. And there's actually different levels. It's called heart coherence technique. And it's where you bring your heart and your head, your thinking, into coherence with each other. So it balances each other out. And as it does that, it actually balances all your physical symptoms and systems of your body. All right. So that's why breathing is so important. We always say, where's your breath work? Just like yoga, they'll say, do yoga. Yoga relaxes you. And what is it doing? It's putting the energy of relaxation into the chakras energy centers of your body and then into the muscles and strengthen it. So, there's a lot of techniques and the way that I personally help people get unstuck. And also being a recovery metaphysician, I have my own personal life experiences to share that, whether it's codependency or whether it's an addiction. So I had an alcohol addiction and I had a people, places, and thing addiction, control and anger, resentment and judgment. So it's not only substance, it's your thinking. And so once you get out of the negative and go back into the positive, what makes me happy? What doesn't make me happy? Where are my fears? Where are the things that I love? So that's where the energy comes in, is where you can, start to take action if you choose. And we as energy healers help people take action. And my practice is about, individually, what does the person need? And I first start with counseling. Being a minister, I can do that. Spiritual counseling and mindset and different spiritual treatments with thinking. And so I love doing that and bringing it back to the heart connection. So really connecting in the heart love connection is really the flow of energy, of divine energy. And it's also about, we all do this together. All of us do this together, and that's sad when a person gets so angry that they can't see the goodness in other people. And it goes back to what we talked about before, sometimes you have to detach with love, and you don't have to sit there and argue with somebody if they're really set on trying to get you, control you with the way you're thinking and agree with them, because it's all about looking at different perspectives and also discernment. Is this what I need? Or I don't have to argue with that person. I need to show love and compassion to that person. Talk to me more. Let me hear you. And sometimes all they need is to be heard, validated and heard. And a lot of times we haven't been. So there's many ways of helping people get unstuck. And as healers, we've kind of have that ability because we've gone through it and we've been doing the healing ourselves. So we understand it. And that's what I do. I always let God or my higher source or whatever you want to call it. For me, it's source, and I'm a divine being and I'm spiritual. So I always go in and ask for help because I don't do this alone. I'm connected with all divine source. And so I go within, and that's my divine connection of who I am. And I'm in human form. Yeah, I'm in this meat suit,
Meat suit,
but
yeah, right.
meat suit. Yeah, or dimension. When you hear people say 3D dimension, what does that mean? Well, it's about all the stuff that's happening right now, or because of the changes. But then people are so emotional, they're feeling the emotions with these changes. And a lot of the emotions that are coming up is fear of, oh my gosh, it's changing. But it's also shifting into a new reality, and you don't have to stay stuck in that fear or that thinking. You can choose to make different choices. And that's where it's individualized. Yeah.
And I love that. Yeah, you can choose. Like some people get afraid of the change. I'm like, hey, it's changing. Here it comes.
Exactly.
And I love the heart-brain coherence. Yes, I am very familiar with that. And it's actually our connection to the divine. And as you're saying, and I create that image, and I also realize that's the same as our heart link with our IET angels as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
it's all the same.
Yeah.
And I love it that because we're turning inward, as you said, turning inward to our divinity. And even like when I picture a lot of our processes, and I picture, like bringing that energy in from above because some reason
quantum energy.
But it's and because it's everywhere and you can bring it in, but it's also it activates what's here. And when we activate what's already there, it's so empowering. And it feels so good. It's empowering, and it's safety, and it's all the things that we're looking for all the time. And
Exactly.
we try to teach people that they have access to it all the time. And we forget, and I forget, and I get disconnected. But it's just it's important to know and keep trying. And it is what connects all of us to each other. So, when we want more peace in the world, this was part of my last podcast. I'm still editing, but like making peace a priority. When you have peace within yourself, you're putting peace out in the world. You don't have to have
Exactly.
it's great to do if you can do a big peaceful movement about something, but the most instant access is right here.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people talk about manifesting and, think you got to do this to manifest. And
Yeah.
I like to use a different word than that. I like to use a word as creating or co-creating a different outcome. And it's just like co-creating a new story for yourself. And that's what's happening as we change, the programming. When we change the programming, it doesn't have to be status quo of how we thought our life was going to be. Just like you changing from being a teacher, and now you did the 30 years of that, and now you're going on to something else, and it's okay. You can do that change. And it is co-creating a whole new life, but also a new outcome and more opportunity and possibilities. So a lot of people hear about possibilities and opportunities and challenges, and then they say, yeah, but you don't have the life that I had. Well, yeah, but you don't have to stay in that life. You can do different.
Yeah. Right.
And yeah, and that's where people, as they express this, they can openly hear themselves talk. They can actually open, and that's where we come in, is like allow them to be heard, and then the tools. And we, as integrated energy therapy practitioners, we understand energy and how it got there a little bit differently than most people. And as energy psychology, meaning what happened the first 7 years of your life that got imprinted within your thought process in your cellular body, and what are the actual consequences from it, or how did you behave, what did you do, what choices did you make. So that's what's different. And it's more of a quantum energy, which means it's coming from the divine. Yes, it's coming from above. And that is the difference in the energy that's here now, is that when we breathe, we're bringing the energy of the earth, the elements of air, into our body. That helps us function. It also is the nutrients that we get from her. So she's very, very important. And it also is how we think and how we make our own decisions in our life. If you feel that you're not worthy enough to change, then you'll stay stuck. But if you start to hear and meet people, with no coincidence, the people that you meet, no coincidence at all, then you can really say, okay, why is this happening? And then you start to see, I see life is changing. Oh, I don't have to live in that way anymore. You can make different choices. So it's a cyclic type of thing. It's like when we say evolution, what does that mean? What does it mean to awaken? And it's the shift of consciousness. So as a energy consciousness based practitioner, I help people look at the way they think about themselves. What are you unhappy with? What can we do to change that? Or what is your heart's desire that you've never told anybody? And a lot of people, they go back to their childhood heart's desire. I want to be an artist and I want to be this, but my father wanted me to be a doctor or whatever. And I was okay as a doctor, but I want to do, drawings and painting, or I want to do music, instruments. It's like, okay, we'll do it now. And say, oh, no, that's, and it's like, yeah, you can. I think it's great when we have, especially me, I went back to school, to college, to nursing when I was in my late 30s and early 40s, because I was an older student. I wasn't like a lot of the young ones. I could have been their mother. But it was like I was ready. I wasn't ready when I was younger,
Yeah.
but I was like a sponge. I was a sponge. And so by actually following that, say, yeah, this is what I want to, I want to do this. And then it led to other things of my wisdom and my evolution. So yeah, it's good. Life is good.
I love that. I love that so much. I feel the same way now. Like, ever since I started this part of my journey, like I feel like I can't learn enough. I just want more all the time, as far as the education.
Yeah, I'm like a
everything.
sponge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you remember
and
everything.
I want
right?
to keep learning. Well, remember, now you're going in now you have more time to concentrate on this. I've been doing this for over 40 years. Well, I've been doing it since I was born, as far as communication and touching inward, because I've been able to communicate with angels since I was a kid. But I couldn't hear people. I'm hard of hearing. But it's like God gave me this gift of being hard of hearing and allowing me to use the areas that I was good at, of feeling, the energy, and also seeing. And that's why I learned differently. But I was programmed to believe that I wasn't, I shouldn't be able to talk to angels, and I, should put that behind, and it's blasphemy and all this other stuff. But what God did, my source, showed me different experiences that I had in my life. And when I had enough and I was so unhappy, then I realized that I needed to take action. And that's when I started my own recovery stuff from my codependency of my childhood, of not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy enough, and comparing myself with other people, and the codependency was taking care of everybody else instead of me. And then 8 years later, drinking, even though I didn't drink every day, I knew from my background, both my parents were active alcoholics, and I lived in that environment. Even though I didn't treat mine in the same way, it had nothing to do with the amount of alcohol that you drink. It had to do with why you're dealing it, to deal with the stress, to help you survive. We're talking about the survival, So there's all different walks of life. And just because, you're brought up this way doesn't mean that you can't strive to do this, be here, in a different realm. And it's all about the choices each and every one of us have. And that's what, as humans, and learning these experiences, living this life, is so important, is that I am very, very grateful that I am still alive in this lifetime. Out of my family members, there was 10 of us all together. I was number 6 kid out of 8, and I'm the only one left. So I'm very grateful that I'm still alive, and I know I have a lot more years ahead of myself. And I heard the angels always tell me I was going to live to be 120. It's like, I don't know about that. I'll take 100, but so it's like, okay, all right. So I'm just very grateful that I am able to see all these changes and the beautiful children that are coming in now. They are wise. They have a knowing of who they are, and love, a love of that spiritual divineness in them. You can see it because you can see them when they kind of look, and you can, of course, as healers, we can feel them healing, and they're thinking differently. They're not automatically going into programmed beliefs. They're saying,
Yeah.
have you ever thought about this? Have you ever, they will bring into the conversation, and then you'll see how wise their souls are. Oh my goodness, this is a wise soul. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. And that's where it's like, just because they're a child, like in my days, a child are seen, they're not heard. It's like you've got to listen to your elders, do what I say, not what I do type. And now
Mhm.
it's like, no, I don't think so. You can see the look on their face. And sometimes, of course, it's destructive and sometimes it's not. And it's like, as parents and grandparents, you got to say, oh, look at it the different way. Look at, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
He's smart. That's a good idea. I think I'm going to take up that thought or whatever. And it's
Uh-huh.
like then you see different they are.
Yeah. That is, I see that very much in my grandchildren. Yes. And it's hard because we're still programmed from the way we were raised, and a lot of shoulds and a lot of don'ts. And it's very difficult some days. And they are brilliant, amazing little souls that I
That's
love.
right. They are. They are.
Yeah. So grateful. Awesome. I can't wait for them to watch this. They can watch this
That's
video.
good.
I was wondering how you feel about talking about being a galactic grandmother. I think many people don't even get it, like what's galactic energy, or even if you have a message from and what feels right for you.
Maybe. Or yeah, if
Special
you want me
message.
to. So
I would
a
love
galactic
it.
grandmother. Oh, okay. So as a galactic grandmother, I've been on this journey for quite a while. And when I talked about the angels being with me, well, they're the galactic grandmothers. The angels are the higher energy of divineness. So whenever we think of angels, we think of God's messengers. Well, we're all divine. And so the star mothers, galactic grandmothers, when you say grandmothers, I am a grandmother. And a grandmother has great wisdom. And I have great wisdom. And so they said that's how you're going to identify you as a galactic grandmother. And we're going to channel through you. And a lot of people don't know what channelers are, but it's just like they're in your thought process, they're your helpers. Just like when you go inside, they tell you something. All right. Well, that's what they do. They talk to me. And then I allow them, I'm a conscious channel, which means I'm very aware. And in like they talk through me with me. I don't have to go into trance or anything like that, like some do, and that's okay. But I'm a conscious where I can give a message. And so I'm going to do that right now. Right? Okay.
Thank you.
So all you have to do is just get very, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I am very, very honored. Go inside and get nice and quiet. And just slow your breathing down. You just take in some nice deep breaths and breathe them out. And as you take the deep breaths, what it's doing is that it is slowing down your body to relax. It's a relaxation mechanism that comes through. So we would like you to just go to your heart center and think of all the things that you love. Something that brings you joy, gratefulness, blessings. So, dear ones, go inside and think of all the beautiful things in your life that you appreciate, even if it's as simple as going outside and hugging a tree, as many are doing right now, or going outside in the rain, as Sheila B. wanted to. So we, the galactic grandmothers, are just the galactic ancestors that came before you, that gave you your beautiful soul. We are God. We are one. It's your divinity inside you. So each and every day, if you need to get centered or if you're feeling out of place or not comfortable, just go and be quiet. And Sheila B. calls it the sip technique, where she learned it from one of her mentors years and years ago. And Sheila B calls it sit in the present moment. And as you sit in the present moment, as you're breathing, just ask in your mind's eye, or even verbally say outside, what do I need to know today? And then listen. Listen to any divine answers that come through. And if you don't hear anything at all, and all you do is see your mind starts to race, that's okay. Just going back and ask the question again. And you can train yourself to do this every day. You can set a time limit on it. And a lot of times when you start, you set a time limit of 3 minutes. Just by going inside and getting quiet and ask, what do I need to know today? And when you get an answer or not, doesn't matter. What matters is that you're training your body to slow down, to be able to hear the wisdom of your soul, the wisdom of who you are and what you are a part of, the wisdom to awaken who you really are as a divine being, and the wisdom to understand what is changing now. Many think it's their imagination when they get an answer, but dear ones, it's not. The love of a mother is always there. And that's why many of us know. Of course, in the galactic realm and in the human realm, mothers have an intuition of nurturing, of knowing. That is a spiritual gift. That is what is awakened right now. So when you go inside and you ask a question and get an answer, then you can ask, how do I do that? And listen. We will continue to be with you to the end of time. A mother's love. Love is the highest energy frequency for humanity at this time. So, dear ones, I just go inside and sit in present moment. SIP, S-I-P. And just get quiet. Very good. Very simple, not too complicated. We will step back now and bring you back to dear Molly. And know that you are so dearly, dearly loved beyond all measure. Namaste. And so it is. Okay.
That was so
I love it when they
beautiful.
talk to me like that.
I know. You are loved beyond all measure. I use that phrase quite a lot.
Yeah.
And in something else I do, with the recoding, but which is it all comes down the same page. Yeah. It was so beautiful.
Exactly,
Thank you. And
exactly.
it was such a clear, what a beautiful, clear and simple and applicable. Like we can do that. We can do that.
Exactly.
I can do that. It's amazing how simple it can be. And yet we still will have resistance to it. Oh,
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
beautiful. A beautiful way to wrap up. Thank you for channeling.
You're
This has
welcome.
been
Thank you for having me. This is amazing. I love it. I love sharing. and being in the energy with everybody, especially with you,
Me.
Molly, because you're very special to me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Known you
Me
for quite a
too. And
while.
I'm really looking forward to our next thing together in November, our Unity Field Healing, which we didn't even get to talk about today, but that's okay. That'll be a whole other podcast.
Yeah, that's okay. We can come back and we'll do another podcast. We can talk more about IT then really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is great. This is just, I think our listeners are going to be so grateful to have this great foundation to really, stretch themselves and do more. And that's why you and I are here to help them do more. And this will be great.
That's right. That's right.
Keep trucking down the road. I would have
truck it down. Yeah.
Next time I'm bringing the truck to
trucking.
you and we'll sit right here and do it. she blew
Sounds good.
blew a seal or something. So
Right here in Fairport. Yeah.
yeah.
That sounds good.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will talk.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.